Grady Deont Wilson, born on October 13th, 1946, and passing peacefully on January 30th, 2026, lived a life shaped by meaning rather than mere celebrity. To generations of television viewers, he will always be remembered as Lamont Sanford, the calm, thoughtful son on the beloved NBC sitcom Sanford and Son, which aired from 1972 to 1977. Yet reducing Wilson to a single role would miss the depth of the man he truly was. Over the course of his life, he wore many identities: actor, author, soldier, pastor, husband, and father. Each chapter carried its own challenges and rewards woven together by perseverance and faith. While his professional success resulted in an estimated net worth of $2.5 million, Wilson never measured his life by financial gain. His greatest wealth came from integrity, spiritual conviction, and the quiet impact he left on those who knew him and those who watched him grow. Roots in Georgia, dreams awakened in New York. Grady Deont Wilson was born in Valdosta, Georgia, but his path truly began to unfold after his family relocated to New York City during his childhood. The city's cultural energy, diversity, and artistic pulse sparked something powerful in him at an early age. Remarkably, by the age of 4, Wilson had already appeared on a Broadway stage, an experience that hinted at the future awaiting him. As a child, he trained in tap dance and ballad, developing discipline, grace, and confidence long before most children understood performance. At just 12 years old, he danced at Harlem's Apollo Theater, a landmark venue rich with history and meaning in Black entertainment. Standing on that stage, Wilson felt a sense of belonging that would guide him for decades. Those early experiences didn't guarantee fame, but they planted a belief that storytelling and art would always be part of his life. Faith, fragility, and a promise that endured faith was deeply embedded in Wilson's upbringing and quietly shaped his inner world from an early age. Raised in a Catholic household, he served as an altar boy and even briefly considered becoming a priest. Summers spent with his Pentecostal grandmother, Ada Mitchell, introduced him to a different expression of spirituality that left a lasting impression. At 13, Wilson faced a life-altering medical crisis when his appendix ruptured, bringing him frighteningly close to death. The experience left him shaken and reflective, forcing him to confront his own mortality while still very young. In that moment of vulnerability, he made a personal vow to God, promising to serve in some meaningful way if his life was spared. Although his journey would first take him through fame, success, and public recognition, that promise remained quietly alive within him, waiting for the right season to be fulfilled. Service, sacrifice, and inner strength. From 1966 to 1968, Wilson served in the United States Army as part of the 4th Infantry Division during the Vietnam War. The experience was physically and emotionally demanding, marking a sharp contrast from the stages and studios he had once known. He was wounded during his service, returning home with both visible injuries and unseen emotional weight. Like many veterans, he carried those experiences quietly, choosing resilience over bitterness rather than allowing hardship to harden him. Wilson later described how military service strengthened his appreciation for life and purpose. When he returned to civilian life in the late 1960s, he turned once again to the arts, using performance as a way to process what he had endured. Broadway and off-Broadway productions became spaces of healing, where creativity allowed him to transform pain into expression and continue moving forward with quiet determination. From stage to screen, building toward a defining role, Wilson's transition from theater to screen happened gradually, shaped by patience rather than overnight success. He began securing guest roles on popular television series such as Mission, Impossible, and All in the Family, where his composed presence left strong impressions even in limited screen time. Film opportunities followed, including appearances in The Organization in 1971 and Dealing, or The Berkeley to Boston 40 Brick Lost Bag Blues in 1972. These projects helped him adapt his stage-honed skills to the demands of camera work, preparing him for something larger. Each role refined his ability to listen, react, and ground scenes emotionally. Though none of these early appearances brought widespread fame, they quietly positioned him for the opportunity that would change everything. By the early 1970s, Wilson was ready, seasoned, and steady, even if he didn't yet realize that television history was about to call his name, to becoming Lamont Sanford and television history. In 1971, Wilson was cast as Lamont Sanford on Sanford and Son, a role that would permanently define his public image Originally considered for another actor, the part ultimately found its ideal matches in Wilson's calm intensity and emotional balance. As Lamont, he portrayed a patient, principled son navigating life beside his outspoken and unpredictable father, Fred Sanford, played by Red Fox. The chemistry between the two was immediate and enduring. While Fox delivered explosive comedy, Wilson anchored the show with subtlety and heart. Lamont wasn't just a reaction to jokes, he was the moral and emotional center of the series. Together, they created a dynamic that blended laughter with authenticity, helping turn Sanford and Son into one of the most beloved sitcoms of its era and a cultural touchstone that continues to resonate decades later. Responsibility, heartbreak, and quiet grace. During the show's run, Wilson faced unexpected challenges behind the scenes. In 1974, when Red Fox temporarily left the series due to a contract dispute, Wilson found himself carrying much of the show's weight. He stepped into that responsibility with professionalism and grace, keeping the series afloat until Fox's return. While the reunion restored the on-screen magic, the experience left emotional marks. Wilson later shared that his deepest disappointment came not from the departure itself, but from learning about it informally rather than through personal conversation. Even so, he chose understanding over resentment. He continued to speak of Fox with respect, emphasizing the love and chemistry that defined their work together. That choice reflected Wilson's character, someone who valued relationships over ego and grace over grievance, even when situations were painful or misunderstood. Beyond sitcom fame and finding a new voice after Sanford and Son ended in 1977, Wilson continued acting with steady determination. He starred in the CBS sitcom Baby, I'm Back, and later took on the role of Oscar Madison in ABC's The New Odd Couple from 1982 to 1983, acting opposite Ron Glass. His film work included Full Moon High, Me and the Kid, and Hammerlock, demonstrating his range across genres and decades. Over time, however, another calling grew stronger. Deeply rooted in his Christian beliefs, Wilson turned increasingly toward writing and ministry. He authored several books exploring spirituality, including New Age Millennium in 1998 and later his candid memoir, Second Banana, in 2009. Through writing, he reflected honestly on fame, faith, and the lessons learned behind the scenes, offering insight without bitterness or regret, ministry, family, and a legacy that endures. In 1984, Wilson fulfilled the vow he had made as a boy by becoming an ordained minister in the Church of God in Christ. Ministry became central to his identity, guiding his later years with purpose and service. He appeared on faith-based programs, participated in religious theater and film projects, and continued sharing messages of redemption and hope. At home, family remained his foundation. He married model Cicely Johnston in 1974, and together they raised 6 children, grounding him through both fame and transition. Wilson passed away at age 79 from cancer-related complications at his home in Palm Springs, California. His life closed not with spectacle, but with peace. He leaves behind a legacy of humility, conviction, and humanity, a man who made people laugh, reflect, and believe. Though the screen has gone dark, his light continues.